All right, y'all, so I have this much better plastic tank. We're gonna clean it up a little bit, but it looks good. Got fresh ethanol-free fuel in it. So let's clean it up a little bit and get the oil ratio where it needs to be. All right, so I set out for a whole nother fuel hose, but after looking at them, I didn't see any Atwood ones that would go with this tank here, because it kind of has the proprietary connection right there. So anyhow, I just went ahead and got a new primer bulb, and we're just gonna take the primer bulb off of this one and use this fuel hose. In the meantime, since this is the dreaded gray fuel hose, trust me, I know that. I'm sure I'll get comments saying, hey, you're using gray fuel hose. But when we pull this off, we're gonna look inside of it and see if any of the liner is coming off. If you watch this whole outboard, he did one where he cut it open, one of the gray fuel lines, and it was 100% fine. He'd been using it, so it's kind of hit or miss, but we'll check it and see what it looks like. Also, we're gonna see if we're sucking air up here at the connection at the hose when we get the new primer bulb on, and see if this was actually our problem or not. Actually, uh-oh, that's not good. These are not on here very well at all. We're gonna look in this hose. I know there's probably no way y'all can see in here, but, and oh my goodness, wow. But in there, it is 100% clogged. Look, you can see right there. You can see where just that plastic is collapsed inside of there. Same right here. This is 100% clogged. All right, so if you're using gray fuel hose, you need to check that, because you'll be chasing a fuel issue that really is not an issue at all. Let's get a pick and see if we can. Man, there's no way any fuel is getting past this. All right, here's the liner. This is exactly what it looked like down in there if you couldn't see it. Just 100% clogged. So if you're having a fuel issue you just can't figure out, check your fuel line. Just pull one of the connections off and look down it. Chances are you have this crap going on. So we're going to pull all these connections off, because we're going to use them again on the new fuel hose that we have to now go get. Didn't mean to hit you there. All right, we got 5 feet of 5/16 fuel line here, just from O'Reilly's. Some more hose clamps, a primer bulb, and our connections. I have the OMC connection right here, and we're gonna make our own fuel line instead of paying 70 bucks for a BRP Evinrude one. All right, here we are. We got it all put together. Got our fuel bulb, and make sure that you have the flow going the right way. Follow the arrow here on the primer bulb. Flow is going this way. So we have our motor connection on that end of it. Because if you're not careful, you could put it on the other end, and then obviously you have to turn it all back around. But we have it right, so we're gonna hook this up and see what happens. All right, so we got it primed up here. Looking for leaks. Oh, we do have a leak at the connector here. Prime it and make sure the primer's all clear. All right, nothing out the primer. All right, so we're gonna have to take a look into that. All right, so it didn't take long to figure that out. We got a clog in the line that's supposed to come out of the bowl. That's why we're not getting any fuel. All right, this was clogged up. Of course, now you can see through it. I don't know if you can on the camera, doubtful. All right, our bowl is not filling up with fuel. It would appear our float is stuck. All right, well, this carb is going to come off then because we're not getting any fuel to it. Luckily, these things are super simple to remove. There's that linkage. Now we're just going to remove this line that's full of fuel, unfortunately. All right. Whew. I don't know if you can see the color of that fuel, but it was brown, still the crap that was left in there. So, verified that our float is stuck in the bowl here. But before we put this on, we're going to flush out that old line. I don't have a carb kit right now. I'm just going to be very careful and see if maybe we can get this float unstuck and go forward. But if not, we can order a carb kit and wait a few days. Alright guys, sorry, my battery died and I had to go get my battery pack, which was luckily charged. But I haven't done anything else. Have all 4 screws loose. Let's take them out and see what we find, because we weren't getting any fuel inside the carburetor, it didn't look like. So that lets me know that the float's off or something's not letting it in. Right, we do have a little bit of crud on it, but other than that, it didn't look terrible. So we were able to free the needle valve up, and it's moving like it should. If you can see that in there, probably not, but right here, that was just stuck in the closed position and not letting any fuel in. So just before I get a lot of comments saying that's not the right way to clean a carburetor, I know, but for what we're doing right now and just getting it running, see if we can get it going, that'll work just fine. We're on a budget, let's pretend. Also, I cleaned out the bowl. There was some crud in the bottom of that. Gasket looks like it's gonna work. Cleaned up a little bit of that. So we're gonna throw it back on and see what happens. And even though this was cleaned, or is gone through and fairly clean, it's still sitting up even a little bit amount of time you know, the couple years that it has will cause that needle valve and the float to be stuck. This goes in the bowl for our primer. Clean that, put this back in. Let's throw it back on. First, we're going to flush out our line. Now we're just going to prime it and run this crap out of here. Alright, that should be good. First, to make it easy, we're just going to put our fuel line back on and put our zip tie on. And yes, they did use zip ties on these. Man, that Amazon truck. Backup alarm doesn't sound so good. Off our end here. There we go. We got our primer line hooked back up down here. Just get our fasteners for up here. If my arm is blocking, I'm super sorry. Half-inch wrench for the nuts on the two nuts that hold the carburetor to the intake. I know there is a certain torque spec on these. It's in my manual, but I haven't looked. I'm not sure. So be sure to look that up before you do it. Put our zip tie down here for this fastener, or for this fuel hose for the primer. If you're noticing there's no breather or anything on the other side of the carb, this is how it came from the factory. So I wanted that myself, and then I started reading about all the other ones that didn't have that either. All right, we have our linkage hooked up. All right, that's all good to go. Super easy to do this. Now let's see if we get fuel. There we go. Let's flush it out real good, because that is some nastiness in there still. All right, this thing is ready to fire up. So a couple issues. It's not staying running unless I pump the ball. Also, we're not getting any water. So that's something I'm gonna have to look into as well. I do think I'm gonna fire it up one more time because I know it's got water going to the impeller. Either, you know, it may not, my muffs may not be tight enough, because I did see from the indicator coming out of the well where the water goes up, there was water running out of there. So I know there's water in the impeller. So yeah, it's just trying to figure out why it's not getting up there, or what's going on there. Then I'm gonna get a barrel next time, because I have heard these muffs sometimes will not work on these Johnsons like this. So I did check the head temperature. We're fine. I don't want to overheat the motor or anything. We're only at 105 degrees. So I'll try that one more thing and go from there. Excellent news. The telltale was not clogged. When I went down there and held more pressure on the muffs, we got water. So water is flowing perfectly like it should, and that's excellent. Now we just got to figure out what's going on with the fuel pump. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing for more outboards. Next time with the 1996 Johnson. Check. Watch what happens when I hit the primer bulb. That's an issue.